without a shadow of a doubt, it's the drunkest show in social media history. I want to welcome you to the War Zone. I'm your host, but I got my co-hosts in the building, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen Demetra K, and our brother in the struggle, Damian Thaddeus Jones, and I am 5-star General Joe Biden. You finna turn the White House into a whole house. It is what it is, man. Kamala, you ain't getting no passes tonight, baby. Y'all sit back and just suck it up, man. Say, man, I want to welcome you to the War Zone and tell you thank you as usual for tuning in. And I think tonight gonna be one of the most watched shows that we've done in a long time. And just want to thank you guys for tuning in, because without y'all, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. Got some great news for y'all today. I talked to the good pastor, Isaac Matthews, and the Negro tried to handle me like I was a punk, telling me how he feed the community. I ain't put nobody out because of the pandemic. Man, what that got to do with anything, man? The man said he don't know nothing about what's going on. He just found out yesterday. He said Spencer is lying on him. And I mean, he tried to filibuster the conversation, didn't want me to get 2 words in. So, I kind of ended it with that old cliche. I asked him, and I'm being honest with y'all, I asked him, Pastor, do you know Lucifer? He said, yeah. I said, well, you about to meet him, and hung up in his face. How you doing, Demetri?
I'm doing fabulous. How about you guys? You might go to hell for doing that, right? The floor might open up, swallow you whole, lightning bolt might come down on you. Just letting you know.
Better be a big hole. I'm a big old boy.
You know what? We just gonna leave it at that. But let's go ahead and get right into our subject at hand, because as you guys see, we have a special guest, Mr. Damian Jones from the Damian Jones podcast. He's going to be here with us for this very spirited discussion about Joe Biden's running mate. The internet and the world was put on notice that Joe Biden has selected his running mate finally, right? Because it is said that it was pretty late in the game. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Gary, and then we'll go from there. And hello to you guys on YouTube and Facebook.
I really need my MAGA hat tonight, man, because I've been talking to my Republican homies, and they already popping the champagne, man. Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you. Trump gonna put his foot in your you know what. Ain't no way in hell we gonna rock over here. We over here salivating because Joe and the hoe ain't gonna make it. That's all it boils down to. I'm just telling you what it is. She Willie Brown side piece. She gonna take them antics to the White House. It is what it is. The woman has a checkered past. No matter if it's been about justice reform. No matter if it's been about money, because I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later. Some of her financial dealings that she got into. But if y'all cool with Joe and the hoe, then it is what it is, partner. We popping champagne over here. I need my MAGA hat tonight, Donovan.
Oh, you're talking about total surprise. The Democratic Party. To me, out of all of the recipients, she would have been the last person to choose on that list. That's just my opinion on that, because with the progressives being fractured, the mainstay of the Democratic Party needed to reach out to the progressives to even have a chance. Now, of course, everybody's coming at me and they're thinking this is a historic pick, and it is a historic pick. However, symbolism doesn't put money in my pocket. So yes, let's be happy about the pick, but what's it going to do for us in the long run? I look at this ticket as a losing ticket for the simple fact that I don't see this ticket winning, because you didn't reach out to progressives, so you're going to lose a lot of progressives. And the people that want to vote this too evil thing, it's not going to work. Some people are just going to opt out and just be done with it. But it is historic, I guess. Here's a woman who never identified as Black until she started running for president. She's an attorney. To me, he might as well have picked Amy Klobuchar, because at least Amy Klobuchar decided not to prosecute George Floyd's murder. It's just the pick just doesn't make sense. To me, it just doesn't make sense as a pick. But maybe Damien, would know a little bit more and maybe just a little bit more insight on the pick. I just don't see this as a winning pick.
Look. Can y'all hear me? Is my mic on? Yeah, good. Hey, thank y'all for having me. Want to say hello to all your wonderful listeners that they're piling into the room, and I'm looking at these incredible comments. And listen, let me tell y'all something. If you want to learn something about a particular topic, just read the comments. The comments, people give you so much honesty. And I tell politicians, if y'all really want to know what's happening in your neighborhoods, you want to know what people think about you, read the comments on social media. People are so honest. And so I know we're going to have some good comments tonight. But listen, my emotions have been all over the place since I saw this pick. And I knew it was going to be Kamala Harris. I picked it about 3 weeks ago. I knew it was the choice he was going to make. But on the one hand, I'll be honest with you, I'm all about Black empowerment, uplifting our people. And so on the surface, you say, hey, I want somebody Black as that VP pick. Joe is not a great candidate, but at least we can get somebody Black. But then on the other hand, if we're honest and we look at the critiques of Senator Harris's record, and Demetra and Donald, y'all in California, so y'all have seen firsthand and y'all can speak to it. I know that I've talked to a lot of men today who are upset that Joe pigeonholed himself and didn't pick the best candidate, but just say, I want to choose a woman. There are folks who are saying that maybe he should have chosen Susan Rice. And I think Susan would have been a good pick as well. What about the Bernie people? The Bernie people are so enraged right now. They can't stand this pick. Think about the Elizabeth Warren supporters who are to the far left. They can't stand this pick. And a lot of those white women may go over and vote for Trump because they don't support this Harris pick. And so I think the American people are all over the place. But I was just watching Donald Trump, his press conference a few moments ago, and he said Harris is his first round draft pick, his number one pick. He said this is exactly who he wanted. He said Sleepy Joe has to get out of the basement at some point. Then he said, but I want to, and I know this is going to come up, so I want to put this on the table first and foremost. Why this pick is somewhat baffling to me, because this is the same person. I give her a lot of credit that she stood on the debate stage and called Joe a racist. So, but you turn around and you choose the same person that called you a racist. And so now that you have to team up and go on a trail together, how do you walk back from that? How do you spin, Demetra, you're a PR person. How do you spin that? People have asked me, how would I spin? I don't know how you spin that. The truth is the truth. And Joe's record is very questionable. So I'm looking at the comments. I think people are all over the place. I don't know. I think also I will say this though too. Harris had the most name identification of all the folks to be chosen. I will say that, and that probably weighed a lot into the pick. We got 80 days until the election. Val Demings didn't have a lot of name ID across the country. Susan Rice didn't have a lot of name ID across the country. Stacey Abrams is still building that. And so this is a very interesting pick. And I know the next 80 days are going to be interesting. And I can't wait until those debates, because I know Trump is going to be in rare form.
So I will say, just if I put my PR hat on, you spin it by saying, and I'll give them the game. Maybe they'll hire me. I don't know. But you spin it by saying we need to come together no matter what our differences are and get rid of Trump, because that's the narrative that everybody who was voting for Joe Biden and now Kamala Harris are saying. No matter what, I've seen people say they vote for a pickle, their cat, in order to get rid of Donald Trump. And so that's how they're going to spin it. but you also spin it like they've been doing it by just glossing over it. We're not going to address it at all because we all saw during the debate, she low-key called him a racist. Now, she didn't call him that outright, but she implied that he was a racist by, him implementing or wanting the busing system to continue. And she was that little girl and, all the T-shirts and things like that. But I think the American people, especially our people, should be well aware of some of the things that she did. So I took the liberty of writing it down so I don't forget. So as we know, she served as a senator. Well, that's what she is for California. She was also the attorney general for California and DA for San Francisco. She was responsible for putting 1,500 people in jail for marijuana. She was against marijuana reform, but now she's for it. So Kamala is sort of a flip-flop candidate right now, if you will. She also blocked evidence that would have freed innocent people due to prosecutorial misconduct. And what else did she do? She also wanted to continue the free labor of prisoners who should have been released from prison, but she was like, hey, it's free labor. We need to keep them in there. She also was for a cash bail system, which disproportionately affects people of color, Black people, because you need the money to get out. If you don't have the money to get out of jail or prison, you're going to stay in there. Look up that of Khalif Browder. Now, she had nothing to do with that, but he suffered from the cash bail system. All right. She also bragged about criminal justice reform that became a national model. Now, how's that national model been working out for Black people thus far? Okay. She also, now this is a big one, the truancy law that she enacted while she was, I think she was the DA. No, not that, I'm sorry, Attorney General for, DA. Ugh, she's done so much for San Francisco that targeted parents of truant children. And she said during her campaign speech, or I guess it was her victory speech is what it was, she basically said, we're going to go after these parents to the fullest extent of the law to let them know that we mean business. And so there's some people who say, well, she didn't actually lock people up. Yes, she did. Go look up Cherie Peoples. She actually was one of the parents that was locked up under Kamala's very austere truancy law. Let's see. She also refused to investigate officer misconduct. She fought to uphold wrongful convictions secured by office misconduct, evidence tampering, false testimony, and suppression of evidence. Now, regarding the crime lab situation, there was a crime lab technician that was actually doing the drugs in the crime lab opposed to testing them. And that led to possible evidence, not tainted convictions. They said to the tune of about 600 people had the right to have their cases looked at due to the lab technician doing drugs while on the job, and that she, fought against. In fact, the judge that admonished Kamala Harris wanted that judge to be removed from the case, right? She just wanted them to have nothing to do with it, didn't want to be held into question. Let's see here. And there's obviously, we'll talk about it as we go, but there's quite a few people who were in prison and are still in prison due to Miss Kamala Harris not wanting to look into their case, basically turning a blind eye to evidence that would have clearly exonerated these people. Her office often went on that of single testimony witnesses. So basically, it only took one witness or testimony to say, hey, yeah, I saw the guy, he was there, and said person ended up going to jail. One of those guys was Jamal Truelove. He actually was sentenced 50 years to life for, and he was actually set up by the prosecutors and police officers. And Kamala was just like, you know what, it doesn't make me any difference. And he ended up suing San Francisco to the tune of $13.1 million and winning.
Wow.
So tonight we're doing something different. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Say, man, it's the 5-star general live from the war zone. And I need you to rock with the candidate that the war zone is endorsing. My man, David Newell, Judge, Criminal Court of Appeals, Place 9. say November is important. So make sure that you go into the voting booth and you vote for David Newell, Judge, Criminal Court of Appeals, Place 9. Tell them 5 Star sent you.
I like that. I like that.
Say, man, we in the middle of the show. We trying some new things, trying to help out some good people. Now, you say she locked up 1,500 people, right?
Marijuana.
You forgot 1501. Who is 1501? Steve Mnuchin, who had a record of profiting off the misfortunes of thousands of families who lost their homes due to U.S. mortgage fraud. Mr. Mnuchin happened to donate to her campaign. So she mysteriously refused to prosecute him. But you don't have a problem throwing an innocent black man in jail, huh, Kamala? You don't have a problem doing that, but you let your friends off because they give you money. Now, I want y'all to understand, you got 2 former prosecutors that's running that have a horrible, horrible history dealing with locking people up unjustly. The crime bill, yeah, we know about Joe. But Kamala must have been his first lieutenant with everybody she locked up in the state of California. You see what I'm saying? Now, as far as the racist comment, y'all sit here every day and call Trump a racist. But your vice president nominee basically called your presidential nominee a racist, and you ain't got no problem with that racist, do you? You go in that booth, we ain't really worried about it over here. If only thing I'm missing tonight is my MAGA hat. We ain't worried about it. Man, we popping champagne, man. The man ain't lying. That's who he wanted. They gave him who he wanted. Big Daddy Trump gonna walk away in a landslide.
Yeah. You know, sometimes I kind of look at the strategy of the Democrats and I say, you know, do they really want to win? We all know in politics that there's money in politics, especially if you're in the opposition, because so much money is given to you to beat your opponent. And it just seems to me, let's forget the fact that Kamala is who she is. Okay, she was never a black woman until she ran for president. So let's just forget who she is. Her father just basically corrected her and had to disown her in regards to what she was doing. So let's take Kamala out of the equation. And Damian, you know, you're my brother and everything like that. I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not, but let's look at this ticket. Is it a winning ticket? And I'm going to challenge anybody to tell me if this is. I just don't think it's a winning ticket.
You want my honest opinion? Listen, why don't you think I would agree with you? Listen, when I come here and talk to y'all, I'm talking just from a basic objective standpoint. Yes, I'm a registered Democrat, but I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid and just don't look at reality, right? Here's what I'm just thinking here. Now, walk with me for a second here. 2020 has been a very abnormal year, right? You look at coronavirus hit us out of nowhere, okay? And the country is still suffering and dealing with that, right? And a lot of people can say, hey, Trump hasn't handled it well. I get that, right? But you also say that there's no playbook how to handle COVID-19. So all leaders are kind of figuring it out on the fly. Throw that aside. But the biggest thing that is happening in this country this year is the social unrest around the value of Black lives, around police brutality, around police violence. And that's something that all of us have been talking about for months now, right? And that's kind of how our platforms have grown so much, because we've been talking about those particular things. And so as we look at the list of those to pick from the list, I think one person that I said Val Demings is not a great choice, right? And one, because she didn't have a lot of experience, but two, she's a cop. And in this year of Ahmaud Arbery, in this year of George Floyd, in this year of Botham Jean, Tatiana Jefferson, I could go on and on. I said we don't need to choose a cop to put a cop in the White House this year, right? Now, you look at Joe Biden's record. We know the 94 crime bill. I won't walk through that because steam will start coming through my ears. But I say to myself, we know Joe Biden's law and order record. And then we come and we choose a cop. Harris is a cop by trade. Okay, you call it what you want to. She's a cop. She's a beautiful woman, nice pictures, all those different things. But she's a cop, and so I'm saying to myself, how can we expect the American people, not even just black people, the American people, to be excited when we have essentially a law and order ticket? Now we talk about Trump and the Republicans being about law and order. But then you look at this Democratic ticket that has been chosen. You could have got, if you chose Susan Rice, I wouldn't say this right now because Susan is focused on foreign policy. We know we need to improve our foreign policy relationships over the last few years. But we essentially have a cop. One of the biggest things we talk about when we talk about police reform is the job of the AG and the DAs and the things that they do. But essentially, when we break it down, we have a law and order ticket on the Democratic side again. And I just don't see how we expect people to be super, unless you're an AKA, unless you are a black woman, particularly. I don't know how everyday people are looking at this and super excited to move to the polls when we say we have a law and order ticket on the Democratic side as well. It's baffling to me. So to your point, Donovan, it doesn't on the surface look like a winning ticket to me. Now, some things may change along the way. The debates may change some things may be said along the way, but I know on Twitter, that clip of her calling him a racist is going to play over and over and over and over. And then the opposition research is going to come and no telling what the Republicans are going to pull out of the bag. And so this is very baffling to me. And these are some of the questions that I have for the Democratic Party in terms of strategy. We like here in the state of Texas, we talk about we're turning Texas blue. We're talking about those type of things, but we don't have not one African American in a statewide position, but we keep lying to people and telling folks that we're becoming closer and closer to turning Texas blue. These are lies. And so the strategy on the Democratic side has to get better because all this symbolism isn't working. All this we shall overcome is not working.
So Billy Young, he made a comment that says basically he thought, there's no fair and balanced representation on the panel here. And I would just like to say, well, we gave you the facts. Everything that I read in regards to Kamala Harris, and we're talking about her obviously because she's chosen to represent the VP side of the Democratic ticket. But I gave you the facts. I mean, I don't know how much fair and balanced that you wanted. Now, I guess the fair and balance that maybe you're thinking of is that because she's a Democrat, maybe all black people should be Democrats. And that's the other thing I was going to say too. I think Joe Biden maybe felt a little bit of pressure to pick a black woman because we heard everybody, he needs a black woman. Everybody, especially black Democrats, needs a black woman because I think somehow his team is under the impression that the Democrats speak for all black people. And that is just not true. They don't speak for all black people. Something else I wrote. And to your other point, Damien, Joe and Kamala are really on the conservative side. Joe Biden is a Dixiecrat. I don't care what anybody says. He always has been and he always will be. If you look at Kamala's policies, she is really a Republican. She is tough on crime. They are both tough on crime and they bragged about being tough on crime. Joe Biden has over and over and over again says that major crime bills that were written since the 70s up until modern day are Joe Biden's crime bills. And so we know crime bills disproportionately affect us as black people. And so I ask you, black people, other than Damien said that the fraternities and sororities and all those people, why are you excited? Like what part of not wanting to get duped do you not understand? I mean, and this is my opinion only, we got duped with the Barack Obama presidency. Black people netted zero specifics for us. And we're going to get the same thing with Kamala on the ticket because all she does is represents symbolism, and you guys are kidding yourselves if you think that white America is going to elect anybody with a black woman on the ticket, especially Joe Biden, who is 77 years old, who has mental, I don't know, it seems like he has mental issues. That man may not be here for 4 more years, and guess who's going to step up to the plate? It's going to be Kamala. And you don't think white people going to see that? Come on now.
Well, let me say this to that point. I want to say this also. On the flip side, there's history on the table here. You know, when you look at the numbers of when black folks have come out in historical numbers, it was in 2008. And we ran to the polls to make history to put a black man in the White House. And so I think Joe saw it was very important to do that because, you know, Joe is not a stellar candidate, but he needed a strong sense of history to at least draw this African-American community out to the polls on his behalf. Because if you put Joe next to another white person, I'm not sure that all of the black community is going to come to the polls. And so when you look at Kamala, I think a lot of people are saying, let's put Joe to the side. This is about making history and putting a black woman in the Oval Office in the vice presidential spot. And I think a lot of people can say they look at that, and I think that's more important to them, and they will overlook some of those shortcomings, overlook some of those policy failings, overlook some of the law and order positions to make history. And so, and to Billy's point, I want to be fair and balanced, and I want to bring it up because I think a lot of people, they're excited about making history again. Now, I will say that it's sad in 2020 that we're still talking about making history in such a way. We should have had black folks in the White House a long time ago when we go back to Reconstruction and how great black people were at that particular time, but then we got massacred and killed. And so now 2020, we're excited about that happening. But I think that's where a lot of folks may be as well, saying, hey, I'll put aside all those different things. It ain't about Joe no more. It's about making history one more time. And then we know, as you just mentioned, Joe does have some some health issues that Democrats aren't being honest about, and you can see it from a mile away. And so the elephant in the room, will he last 4 years? And if he does not, we will have an African-American person, not only a person, but an African-American woman who is shown to be capable. We can disagree with her, but is shown to be very capable and competent to be in the White House. And I'm gonna be frank with you. Given all those challenges we talked about, Harris, if Joe steps aside, I'd still love to have a black woman as the head of this free world than anybody else.
I'm gonna say this here, man. You can be a part of the demise of black people, thousands and thousands of black people, and you can end up being vice president of the United States of America. But you can sell a rock and you the worst person walking the face of the world. But she can just throw black people away in prison and you cool with that. Her character is in question. You know, I joke a lot, but I'm gonna say this, it may come out in a joking manner. Black women want to be taken serious. I respect that. They want to be taken serious. So do you have a problem? A lot of people made a lot of bones about Trump's wife. But do you have a problem with somebody with verifiable infidelity sitting in the White House? She went downtown on Willie Brown. She made sure she got ahead in life. Well, I don't have a problem with that. But Me Too, what y'all got to say about it? Because she made black women look bad if you really want to look at it. So don't be mad if when the inauguration song come on, if they win, and all you hear in the background is they got some hoes in this house, they got some hoes in this house, they got some hoes in this house.
Monroe, listen. But let's make sure we stay focused and engage her and judge her on her job performance. You know.
Hey, hold on, bro. So you telling me we can't bring that up? We shouldn't worry about that. But we got a problem with Trump grabbing them by the coochie, right?
I didn't say that about Trump. I'm saying this is your show. You can talk about what you want
That
to talk
been
about.
going on for 4 years with Trump. Grab him by the coochie, downtown Willie Brown. Same thing.
I just want to add some fair and balanced stuff here. Even if Kamala got in the White House, even with her past, if you will, come on now, you don't think she the first? I mean, Monica played Bill's harmonica. Didn't all of the Kennedys have some, infidelity? I mean, come on, we could be here all day. So what we're not going to do. Like, well, I believe that Kamala is not the woman for the job due to the things she's done to Black people. What we're not going to do is, talk up under her clothes and as if that should disqualify her. Because if that's the case, the White House.
They should have got off my man Trump 4 years ago because he was just trying to grab him by the coochie.
I can't stand you.
But here's my thing with Kamala. Okay. The ticket's been set. We're on our pathway to that. Nobody is not addressing, and Kamala has yet to make a statement in regards to Joe Biden, who needs the Black vote to get into the White House. Mm-hmm. So we know that. That's why they're charging so hard, because if they didn't need that Black vote, they wouldn't have picked a woman of color to be his VP. He said on day one, he's going to do DACA, Dreamers, and LGBTQ. Now, without the progressive side, because he's pissed off a lot of progressives today with this particular pick, do you guys think Kamala is going to move him, now knowing her record and how she is, to do something specific and tangible for the Black community?
I'm going to say what we heard Kamala say. I mean, Donovan, you do the best impression when it comes to her saying how she feels about Black people getting reparations. Go ahead, Donovan, hit him with it.
What? Black people reparations? No, absolutely not.
They don't want reparations. They just want Trump out of office. They don't care nothing about moral standards. They just want Trump out of office. You don't care how many people these two people are sent to the penitentiary wrongly. You just want Trump out of office.
Right.
But bottom line is, contrary to popular opinion, those Bernie votes, those Elizabeth Warren votes, and the fact that you ain't voting straight ticket, especially in Texas, you got a problem.
Yeah. People are going to have to stand on their own too. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Don. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we need to, now that the ticket's set, we need to make sure, since you got a woman of color in the office, that we get something out of the deal. So, we need to push the agenda to make sure that we get something because everybody else is.
So here's what I hope that does not happen, right? Excuse me. Here we have this very capable, competent woman, Kamala Harris, who ran a strong campaign, put herself out there to be presidential. We didn't hear much negative stuff coming out of that campaign, and I think that also went into the decision to pick her as well. But here's what I think we need to make sure we do. One of the guys I listen to all the time, Dr. Cornel West, he got into some trouble with President Obama because he did events for Obama, helped get him elected. But he said, we're going to break dance once you win, but the next day I'm going to hold you accountable. And I think they fell out of grace because Dr. West was constantly holding Barack accountable on these campaign promises and making sure he was accountable to Black people. But what happened in those 8 years under Obama, we romanticized the Obama presidency. We fell in love with seeing that Black family, so forth and so on. And we were just so enamored with having that first Black president who was cool, who was collected, who dressed well, walked, played a little basketball. But we forgot to stay active. We forgot to hold his feet to the fire. We forgot to make sure that he didn't forget about everyday people in California, in Texas, in Pennsylvania, in Florida, in Alabama, all those different places. And so here's what, to your question, Donovan, is that here's what I hope we don't do. I hope we don't fall in so much love, with the possible vice presidential pick, Ms. Harris and Joe Biden, where we don't hold them accountable. Well, we're just so happy to have these folks in the White House, and we're just so happy to get rid of Trump that we forget to stay active, to make sure that we demand certain things from them. The reason why these other communities that you mentioned get what they want because they pool their resources. They demand the things that they want. They have a direct plan. We still don't have a direct Black agenda that we all can go to and push in front of our elected officials and say, these are XYZ things that we want. And so I challenge all of us in the comments, all of us watching, is that whoever you vote for, if it's the Democratic side, make sure you stay on top of it and make sure you are holding these folks accountable once you elect them. By giving them your vote, you're also saying that I want you to do certain things.
We're going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Well, I can say that was a very handsome looking guy, and it seems like he is endorsing Judge Newell.
No, we couldn't. Can you hear it?
Nah, we
Just
can't hear
kill it.
I think if y'all when y'all share that screen, make sure you click share audio. That may be
share audio. Share audio. But I can't hear you. Good looking guy that was endorsing Judge Newell.
We can't hear you.
I was on mute. Let's do that again.
Okay, let's try that again.
Hold on. Oh, keep talking.
Yeah, we're running our commercials now, so we're just trying to get them in real quick.
No, I like this. I like this added feature to the show, man. Y'all expanding. I love
it. We're doing some different things, bro.
I like it.
Yeah, but as far as Kamala is concerned, like I said, the ticket is set, and I hope, which I doubt it, I don't think it's going to be a winning ticket. For some reason, of all the people he could have picked, that was the one I just thought was just out of left field.
But let me ask this question: how do y'all think, given now we know what the ticket is, COVID-19, we know debates are coming. How are they going? Okay, go ahead.
Hey, you guys, Donovan Sadiq from the War Zone with the 5-star General Jerry Wayne Monroe and Dimitri K. Hey, what do I always say on the show? I say, what is the definition of insanity? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So what I want you to do is take a look at a candidate that we are looking into because we want to make some changes. His name is David Newell. He's running in the election. I want you guys to remember that name, David Newell. Take a look at him. Tell me what you think. We're going to be seeing you on the War Zone.
So when you go into the voting booth this November, make sure you know who you can count on. Those are the people who deserve your vote. The people that have been there time and time again and that have served your needs. So again, make sure you go in there and check the box for who you can count on.
All right, y'all, we back. The big news is Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris today to be his running mate. I just don't see it. We were talking earlier about, do you think it's a winning ticket? I don't think so. I mean, I think it's one of the worst tickets that we've seen in a long time. I mean, if you understand politics, I just don't see it happening. I don't care if every AKA goes to the poll and you dig up a few of them out the graveyard, it ain't gonna matter. Bottom line is it's a horrible pick for the African American community based on this woman's history. Really, she don't do black people, man. She just does not do black people. And for those that really think that this is great and you're going to beat Trump with Kamala Harris, he told you today he's not worried about it. That's exactly who he wanted you to pick. Donovan?
Yeah, gosh, like I said, the tickets made, and of all the people, I mean, if I had to do it, Karen Bass might have been a good choice because she knows how to negotiate. She was the head of the California Assembly here. I thought that would have been a lot better choice if we had to make that choice. But I'm a California person, so I know Kamala's record. So I am totally turned off by this pick. So let's just cross our fingers. If I was a betting man, I would say we've got 4 more years of Trump.
Well, she couldn't even win California when she ran trying to get, the nomination. She could not even win her home state.
That's a good point.
So, so if you can't win your home state, a lot of times you in trouble. And with a dude that's got dementia who might forget his way to California when it's time to debate there, that ain't gonna work either. So, I think it's horrible. And y'all, if you win, you're gonna reap what you sow. I can promise you that.
May I ask this question to you all? Because folks have been calling my phone in the last several days and weeks and say, hey, you need to lay off Joe. You've been going too hard on Joe. We need to come together. And what they're saying is, hey, I understand how bad Joe is. I understand Joe's record, so forth and so on, right? And I promised a lot of people. I said, if Joe picks a black woman, I'm going to lay off of him. And so I'm going to stick to that promise. And I'm going to lay off of Joe. I told people that because I didn't think he was going to pick a black woman. I didn't trust him. But I'm going to stick to my word on that. But my question is, people are saying, we got to get Trump out of there to save the democracy. They're saying Trump is so bad. He's doing things we've never seen before. He's breaking the mold. He's not civil. He's not a leader. He's tearing up foreign relationships. He's disrespecting every ethnic group every time he steps onto the White House media floor. What do y'all think about that? That people are saying Trump is so bad. And I know they said, I know Joe is bad, but we just got to get Trump out of there. And then we can start from scratch and try to get things back to just basic civility. What are y'all thoughts on that?
So are we judging by the things that Trump says? Or are we going to judge Joe by the things that he's done? Because I think that's where we get confused. Trump says things, right? But Joe has done things, especially when it comes to us as black people. And so, and I want to say, because I saw somebody make a comment about Republicans, Donovan and I are nonpartisan. We don't necessarily have a dog in the fight. We want to vote our better interest. So if Trump is going to come with something like reparations, then hell, he might get my vote. If Joe, which we know he's not for giving black people checks in hand, and Kamala's not necessarily for, she wasn't, and she kind of was. So I don't know, she's kind of in a gray area. We want reparations. We want our money, right? So whoever's going to deliver that, that's who is going to have my vote. But I mean, just because, I'm not going to lay off of Joe. I'm not going to lay off of Joe. I don't care who he has running with him. Joe is not for black people. I mean, even in modern day times, he says stuff that's very crude toward black people. Basically saying and I'm paraphrasing, but we're not as diverse in our thinking as Latinos. You ain't black if you don't vote for me. I mean, just like, what do we need this man to do? And I also say that Joe Biden supporters are almost as bad as MAGA supporters. Remember when Trump said, I can go out in the middle of wherever it was, Times Square, and kill somebody? Hell, I think Joe can do the same thing, because every time somebody or Joe says something or some of his record comes up, well, that was the old Joe, or, people change. But did he really change if he continues to say the same stuff as if he were on the Senate floor 30 and 40 years ago? And Kamala, if you think about it, Kamala and Joe, they are the same people. But now, if you notice Kamala's stance on a lot of things, she is trying to act like a progressive now. But Kamala was never progressive until the coronavirus hit. You know, and now she's talking about things, you know, moratoriums on evictions and $2,000 a month for every American, which she's basically hijacked Andrew Yang's talking points. He might as well pick Andrew Yang. I could have got behind that, maybe, but you know, you have to ask yourself, because Kamala flip-flops so much, is she just telling people what they want to hear? And how the hell we gonna hold them accountable when they get to the White House when we ain't been holding people accountable in the White House? What's the magic pill that we have now?
Well, I'm going to say this: when it comes to these national leaders and stuff, the way to get to them is at your local levels and the people we vote in. You talk about your Senate, your mayors, your council members, all of these people, because there's only so much that they can do at that national level, that we're finding that Trump says, I'm do this, and it doesn't get done because he doesn't have the power to do that. So the change that I'm looking for, and I say it all the time, is at the local level. That's where you can affect effective change to where we want to go. So if we could start electing these Congress people to do their freaking jobs and hold these people accountable in office and to do the job they were sent to do, not fight for it. Maxine Waters has been fighting for 30 years for reparations. How is she doing, Demetra? So we need you to get it done. We need you to get it done. And that's where it goes out. So all you guys that are out there listening, it's very important when somebody's asking for your vote and they say they're going to do this for you, that you hold them accountable to that. Because guess what? When they get to the national level, Kamala is now at the national level. Now, when she loses, if she loses the ticket, she's got to come back and ask us for our vote. And guess what? She's a first-time senator, Do you guys honestly think that she's going to be reelected after all the shenanigans that have come out and then people that know her, if it was for a senatorial thing? So it's very important that we start voting people that are going to do the Black agenda. That's the best way I can say it.
Well, I'll say this here because I'm not scared. My friends here are nonpartisan. I'm the black man that left the Democratic Party and went to the Republican side. And I'm going to tell you why. Because my streets still look the same. Crime is through the roof. My school system is messed up. And ain't nobody black in a position of power doing anything about it. Any help that I ever get for my community is from a white person or from a Republican. So I might as well go over there and hang out with them and start living by their values. You chase your stimulus, I'm going to chase the bag. So let's clarify that. My friends are nonpartisan. I'm the black man that went to the Republican Party because I'm tired of begging these Negroes for something that my tax money already paid for. Now, as far as Kamala, I'm going to tell you this here. Her and Joe, I had an auntie named Martha Ray Jones. And this is what they're doing to you right now. She said, baby, when you run into them people that don't do nothing but spoon feed you fight till you get old enough to eat shit, you gonna understand when you getting got. And that's exactly what Joe and Kamala gonna do. They gonna tell you anything they need to tell you to get you to go in there and push that button. And when you push that button, they ain't gonna do a goddamn thing for black people as usual.
You know, let me say this. I was having a conversation ever since this pick came down. Me and some of my close friends, my homeboys, in our group meeting, we were having a very spirited conversation. And the question came up, do people really vote based on policy? I said no. I don't think people really vote. Like, I didn't vote for Obama based on policy. I voted for Obama based on I wanted to see a black man in office. And I think a lot of people don't look at policies because a lot of folks don't have time to review policy, look deep into policy, look at all the nuances to see it through. And listen, when you're campaigning, you say whatever the hell you need to say to the crowd that's in front of you. to appease them at that moment. Now, once you get in office, you find out a lot of that stuff you can't do anyway. And so I think a lot of people vote based on a feeling. They based on a euphoria that a person gives them. They said, "Oh, I took a picture with this person," or they made me feel a certain way. But most people, and I would love to hear from the people in the comments. Do you really vote based on policy positions, or do you vote based on a feel? Or they're from my same hometown, or we're in the same fraternity or sorority. I see you jumping at the bit, Five Star.
No, I saw a comment because, you know, we go back and we looking at the comments.
Yeah.
My man Jeffrey say, I'm a sellout, money over
okay.
your people. Let's get something straight, brother. When it's time to pay my car note, I don't know another Negro that pay it but me. When it's time to pay my bills, my medical bills, and buy my medical supplies out of pocket, it ain't nothing but it ain't no other Negro do that but me. When I'm out there battling, like Donovan said yesterday, you see me everywhere running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to help my community. Where's my elected officials? All of them seem to be black and they seem to be missing. So no, I'm not selling out my race at all. My race ain't did nothing for me to keep supporting them. On the political side, they ain't did nothing for me to keep supporting them. Anytime you need political protection as the Congressional Black Caucus, before you can say something when George Floyd got killed, enough is enough with me. You had white politicians standing up for George when the Congressional Black Caucus wouldn't even open their damn mouth. So no, I ain't a sellout, homie. I'm gonna let you get the stimulus, and I'm going over here with them folk and get the bag.
Why does he say you're a sellout?
Because I refuse to lay back here another day and let them people use me, keep me poor, and keep me dependent on the government.
I think we have to be very, very, very straightforward about this. And let me say this to Jeffrey. Listen, I'm a registered Democrat. I know Demetri and Donovan are independents. Monroe, you are a Republican, and I think we all respect that. And what
I was a Democrat. I didn't vote for Trump last time.
Right, and neither. But I think we have to be very. The reason why Black folks are in the position that we're in because we put all our eggs in one basket. You know, now Joe said the other day that Black folks aren't diverse. Now, if you had a problem with that particular comment, then you ought to be embracing Black folks who want to be conservative, label themselves as conservative. If you really think about it, Black folks are naturally conservative in thought, in tradition, and things of that nature, right? So all Black people don't have to be Republicans. I mean, Democrats, we have given up a lot of our power by putting all of our eggs in this one Democratic basket, and they can predict our behavior. They know how we're going to vote. Meanwhile, other folks are getting more resources, and so if we want to say that the Black experience is not monolithic, and we're diverse in thought, and all of our upbringing, all of our social experiments are not the same. Some of us grew up well-to-do. Some of us grew up poor. Some of us have gone to the military. Some of us have been shaped by different things. But I think we are a diverse and educated enough people to have independents in our community, to have Republicans in our community, to have Democrats in our community, and be able to come together and still fight for the empowerment of Black people by respecting and understanding people's thoughts. I have a lot of good Republican friends, and we sit down and drink a beer and have dinner, but we're all working toward the same thing. And so we got to get out of that mindset that every Black person that goes over to be a Republican is a sellout of some sort. And as he mentioned, because when you look at a lot of Democratic areas, there's blight, there's crime, there's poverty. And so what are folks supposed to do? Just sit there and just let that continue? And if you care about your community, you want to do something different. And as what y'all always say on this show, doing the same thing and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. And so I applaud folks who say, let me try and do something different to get results for my community and my family. So we got to get out of that mindset.
And let me hop on the back of that sellout comment. You know, it would be beautiful if people like you that call people sellouts would have that same energy for the Democratic Party that sold Black people out since the Civil Rights Movement and beyond. You never, I mean, imagine if you had that same energy. You want to go after Gary for exercising his right to choose a party. He chooses to be a Republican for the reasons he said, but you mad. And that's another thing too. I don't understand with us as Black people. Y'all act like you guys are engaging in McCarthyism. Oh my God, that Black person is a Trump supporter. Ooh, let's burn them at the stake. It's like people are allowed to have their opinions. We are not a monolith. But that's what I was saying. I think Joe Biden felt pressure to pick a Black woman because they're under the impression that, well, I guess most Black voters are Democrats, but not all Black voters are Democrats. So we should be able to do what we want. But more importantly, let's be mad at the fact that they keep giving us candidates who will never, ever serve us as Black people. We are not going to continue going in a booth and voting for the lesser of two evils because, as Malcolm X said, it is still choosing evil. Right. So what has a Black woman running with him? What is that Black woman going to do for your Black ass? That's the question that you need to ask. And probably the same thing that Obama did for us as Black people. Nothing.
Well, I don't really care what people think. Because whether I'm a Republican or a Democrat, I'm out here in these streets every day busting my ass when your elected officials won't.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm standing up for kids in a school system that has a predominantly Democratic elected school board. But yet Black children don't have anything. They struggle to get a quality education.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking at healthcare. Why are we struggling so bad on the healthcare side? And then you question what the Republicans do. No, you need to question the people that have control over making sure we have the things that we need. And after 52 years, I don't give a damn if you don't want to be my friend. I don't have no damn friends anyway. You get the hell on, and I'm going to kick it with them folk, man. And you wait on your 1,200, and you can, I tell you what, Dimitri, you said, why would you call him a sellout? Well, you call me whatever you want, but in a couple of months, you can call me in Jamaica.
Can you put up Von Levon's comment? He says that this is not the case of lesser of two evils. It says Trump is evil. You see that comment? It might have scrolled up on your screen by now. But it says this is not the case of lesser of two evils.
Oh, I see that.
You see it? I think we need to talk about that one as soon as Gary can find it. Donovan, you see it? So anyway, I'll go ahead and read it while he's trying to put it up. It says, and this is from Von Laban, Lovan, I hope I'm saying it right. You say, this is not the case of a lesser of two evils. Trump is evil, and Biden is just lost sometimes. Huh? I'll let you fellas have at it, and then there you go. There you go. I'll comment on that.
When you don't want to see the truth, you're gonna find every reason why you don't want to see the truth, and that's all it boils down to. You know, Biden is who he is. He's not going to change. He made that very apparent when he rolled out his plan for his first 100 days and didn't include us in it. He made that very apparent. So y'all care more about Joe Biden than Joe Biden actually care about you.
Donovan?
Yes, the case of the two evils. You know, they've been playing that political game for so damn long. This is why independents are now a power when it comes to the power struggle between these two parties. Here's one thing people are not realizing. These parties are basically the same. Donald Trump even told you this, and I'm not a Trump supporter. He said, I give to both parties because that's how the game is played. They get their money from the same exact donors. So what's the agenda? The agenda for this system to work, Black people have to be on the bottom. That is how it was set up. That's why other people could come here in less than 30 years, do better than us, run for president or vice president, get picked for the nomination, all in less than 50 years. Kamala Harris is no more than 53, 54 years. And I'm not hating on Kamala Harris. The question we need to be asking ourselves is, why is it that other people could migrate here and do so much better than the people who've been here all our damn lives? Is it our representation that we're bringing? Maybe we need to ask that.
And let me say this too. I just want to, this is not the case of lesser two evils. Trump is evil. Biden is just lost sometimes. Well, was Biden lost when he boldly enacted those or created those laws that harmed Black people in the 80s? Was he lost when he jumped on the crime bill of 94, the 3 strikes law that sent a lot of our people to prison for 3 strikes under stuff like stealing pizzas and, very small things? Was he lost then? Was he lost when he said, I'll be damned if I paid for something my ancestors did in regards to reparations? Was he lost then? Was he lost when he said, you ain't Black if you don't vote for me? How many times are you guys going to keep giving Joe Biden a pass? Just admit it. Y'all in love with white folks. Plain and simple. You in love with the fact that Joe Biden rolled like as Robin next to Batman Obama and they look cool in their sunglasses, but you can't name a damn thing that Joe Biden has done for you. Also, under the Obama administration, Joe Biden was very instrumental in making sure that Jewish people got reparations. But he said over and over again, he don't think you as a Black person who is a descendant of slaves deserves reparations. So you tell me, is that evil or is he lost?
Joe Biden is the epitome of what the Bible says. The biggest lie that's ever been told is that the devil did not exist. Joe Biden is the devil. And I can promise you, he's about to trick you. And when he tricks you, then it is what it is. But don't worry about that. Even if your man win, we still gonna control the house. So we'll shut him down and make him throw him in, Joe. Joe Biden is not good for Black people. I'm sorry. If he'd have done, if like Demetrius said, the man wipe out my student loans, man, I might rock with you. But what are you doing for us? Nothing. Well, what have the Republicans done? Well, shit, I gave you 52 years over here with the D. I can give them 4 over there, can't I? Let's see what they working with 4. I can't give you 52 more. I ain't got 52 more in.
We have to stop making.
Final thoughts.
We got to stop making. All right, we got to stop making these parties think that they automatically can get our vote. Maybe if they would start working for it, maybe they would start taking us a little bit more serious in what we need to do and what they need to do to get that vote. We talk on this show all the time about tangibles. Hey, symbolism is great, but symbolism ain't food in my stomach. It ain't money in my pocket. I'm going to say this before I go. Doing the same thing over and over again is the exact definition of insanity because you're expecting a different result, and that will never happen.
Final thoughts, Damien?
Sure. Hey, man, thank y'all so much for having me on the show. As always, it's a great show. Shameless plug, Damien Jones podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12:30 Central. Please join me. I'm not as crunk as these 3, but we have quality conversation. Matter of fact, tomorrow we're going to be talking to a gun instructor, a gun trainer. We're going to talk about the uptick and increase of African-American gun sales in America. So it's going to be a good conversation. But let me say this. I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. My grandparents were sharecroppers. My father, born in 1957, was born into a sharecropping family. My grandmother shared stories with me how there are times when she thought she would lose her life because she stood tall and told white people what they wasn't going to say to her in Mississippi Delta. And that was courage, and that was fearless in a time where they could have put her in a ditch. And that's why I have the attitude that I have, is that I'm not here to make white people feel comfortable. I'm not here to forgive white folks for the stuff that they've done to us. And so when it comes to politics, when it comes to a Joe Biden, He knew what he was doing when he signed on for that 1994 crime bill and locked up hundreds of thousands of young people, called them super predators, took away their ability to get college credits, incentivized for states to get more money if they put more bodies in the jails. He knew good and well what he was doing. He is, and so now as he's a little slower up top, you still hear the real him coming out when he says that if you ain't voting for me, you ain't black, because he's arrogant and he feels that he has our vote. And so we at some point, black folk, we got to stand up and hold our head high and straighten our backs up and stop letting people ride it and say that today is a new day. George Floyd didn't die for us to just keep forgiving folks for doing us any type of way. Fannie Lou Hamer didn't take those beatings. John Lewis, whether you like him or not, didn't take those type of beatings, and millions of others didn't get killed. So we can still stand over and let folks screw us any type of way and just forgive them and use the excuse of the lesser of two evils. How about we stop accepting evil, people? We've had too much evil placed in our lives. Black folks have died, and the last words they've heard is the N word and these type of things. So at what point do we honor our ancestors and say, I'm going to stand tall today? And if it means that I don't support a clear, blatant racist, a man who spoke at Strom Thurmond's funeral and eulogized him because he's close to him, a man who eulogized Robert Byrd, and now we're choosing a law and order vice president. At what point do we stand up, folks? I don't care what side of the aisle that you're on. At what point do we say we need to work together to build black empowerment in this country and stop making excuses for the evils that have been placed on us by white folks? How about we start focusing on making sure we have a good quality black candidate for 2024 in the White House? Because guess what? It's going to be wide open. It's going to be wide open in 24. And so the onus is on us. That's where I am. I'm tired of supporting evil. I'm tired of supporting folks who do us any kind of way and come and show up at the barbecue and apologize, and we're supposed to be fine with it, folks. We ought to have more dignity for ourselves and dignity for our vote. And so those are my last words, folks. Straighten your back up. Martin said, folks, ride your back if it's not bent. And so stand up tall, honor your ancestors, honor your children in the life and the things that will be ahead for them. And have some pride about how we handle our vote. But thank y'all for having me once again.
Final thoughts, Mr. Mitchell.
I would love to say ditto, but that's Donovan's line. But no, I agree 100% with everything he said. And we're black people are the only ones that are asked to choose between the lesser of two evils when it comes to affecting our lives. We're continuously told to do that, and we're also told the lie of, our ancestors died for our right to vote, so I'm gonna go in there and vote. No, they didn't. They died so we could get something for the vote, and we do our people a big disservice when we keep going into the booth and not moving the ball. So the fact that they did die, their blood is also on our hands when we don't go get something for our vote. And let's stop being spineless and saying, well, we got to make a choice. No, you don't. You can choose to stay home until one of these parties decide to take us seriously. Let's stop choosing the lesser of two evils. And I also like to close with Janelle. She made a point about white women not voting for Kamala. I 100% agree, because they didn't vote for Hillary. So what makes you think they're going to vote for Kamala? I'm done.
The reason it's messed up for us, when we started the show, you said what I've said 1,000 times. We normally pick the wrong candidate because we want to put our frat brother in office. We want to put our sorrow in office, AKAs. You better think about it. Well, how many of y'all sons locked up in the penitentiary behind that crime bill? We always have a reason why they gotta be the black man that we put in there. And I did it for 52 years. And I'm being honest with you. Just because you're black does not mean that you're going to get my vote anymore. I am going to do the research. And I recommend that you do the research. And then you understand what these people have done. Base it on what they've done, not what they're promising to do, because normally they don't honor any of their promises at all. I think tonight was a great night. We're going to work our features out with our commercials. And if you look at the advertisement, get with us in the inbox. We really ain't going to sting you too bad, but we're going to definitely blow your business up. We're going to help you blow your business up. And that's what we want to do. As usual, I appreciate my brother Damian Jones. Y'all make sure y'all tuning in to my man podcast, one of the hottest on Facebook. You know, Demetra Schmidt. I mean, all them good people out there. Tomorrow night, we're going to get deeper into this thing. Because we got one of the top political consultants in the state of Texas. The great one, Dallas Jones, will sit in the hot seat tomorrow night on the War Zone. I want to thank my co-host, Damian Thaddeus Jones, my man, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetra K, minus the MAGA hat, and I'm still loyal until I die. The 5-star general. Until tomorrow night, we'll holler at you.